Okay, well, welcome to the Worldview Church Life Management Series. Today we want to talk about the impact of parenting on people's self-esteem and sense of self. You know, we're just talking before we come on show about, people, who are really, I would call unfortunate, to be parented by people who do not see anything good in them. Children growing up from homes where there's no affirmation or any form of validation. We are God's people, and how we parent our children really matters. Very important to us, to God, and to our society. The home, has been said, is the crucible of the nation. As the society goes in the direction of the home. So if we don't raise our children up well, it shows up in the society. And unfortunately, most of the people that are making our policies for us today are people who do not grow up in strong homes, in the homes where they are validated. And if they grow up with that mess, they're going to make policies that
based on what they were taught.
So we need to start talking about it as God's people. It's worth talking about. And I'm Daniel. My name is Daniel. And
this is Adura. Omolara.
I'm Labi.
All right, welcome here. Okay, so let's talk about it. So, every one of us has grown up from different family backgrounds.
It's that's a deep story. that you want us to talk about today.
Yeah.
It's so important. Like, I feel, parents don't understand that whatever they make.
Can you be moving it around?
No, you can see all of us.
I'm hemming that.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, sorry, I've just.
So whatever you put your children through,
Yeah.
that's the same thing they're going to replicate out there.
Sure.
Like whatever they learn from their house is what they're going to showcase outside. That's
very deep.
It is like imagine parents who doesn't even believe in their own children. Their children cannot talk to them because anytime you try to talk to your mom or you try to talk to your dad, you're going to get scolded. What's going to happen to that person's self-esteem?
True. And I think that's where I would say, like, the four of us grew up from, like, the culture we grew up from is where you're not allowed to say anything back to your parents. Like, who are you to talk?
When elders are talking.
So that kind of subject the children in a way that their self-esteem goes lower than expected, because they feel like I'm not valuable. Why should I say something? And because when they now grow up, we want them to now talk, but they're not used to talking. So it's like, where is that coming from? What am I supposed to say? And they carry that forward to even when they get married, because then they feel like, well, what am I supposed to say to my spouse? Or if I say something because my spouse or my husband or my wife is older than me, that means I'm being disrespectful.
You're being rude. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm telling you. When mothers don't even want to their sons to talk to them because I don't know what is going through their minds. Like, oh, I'm busy, I'm trying to feed you, and this. You can't even talk to your mom. The first thing that you, as a mom or as a dad, your first obligation to your children is to be able to talk to your children. Your children feel the sense of, I can talk to my mom anytime. I can go to my dad with anything. We're going to discuss it. If that room is not there, every time I try to talk to my mom, she's always nagging. Anytime I try, if I get married with that kind of a upbringing, automatically it will happen when I get married as well. Because women, you see at that point, you already see women as you can't talk to them. Every time you try to talk to them, they nag at you, they shout at you. when even if your spouse is better than that, or because of what you've gone through, it will
See that
affect
in
your
them.
marriage.
You see
Because-
that in them.
yeah,
That's
you
true.
see that.
You see it in them feeling like,
You know,
oh yeah.
And just to add to that too,
Yeah.
because what you said is really, really important. Like having that feeling that, oh, I can talk to my mom about anything. I can talk to my dad about anything. Because I feel it actually affects a lot of people also in decision making and making so many mistakes in life. You know, growing up, we need that knowledge from those that have passed through that stage. So like the older ones, of course, they've seen various life experiences. So if we can go back to them that, oh, this thing happened and I don't know how to go through it, and then we can't get that advice, of course it's going to affect our decision making. And I guess that's why there might be, you know, a lot people also making mistakes later on in life, making wrong decisions and stuffs like that. And also, just like we've said, like from the part most of us are from is where you can't, it's like when adults are talking, younger ones sit, and you see the difference now in the Western world in kids, like young children, very outspoken, and we're like, wow, what's going on here? Which is very good because
but then, sorry to cut you short, right? Sorry to cut you short. I wouldn't want us to mistake allowing your children the freedom of speaking with you to just letting them do whatever they want to do. Because there's a thin line. If you are not careful, your children, I don't know, like they can easily cross to the other side of things, where they don't just, you know.
Yeah, you know,
There's no boundary.
yeah,
There's no boundary, yeah.
Yeah, and let me put it a little bit into context. They call, you know, psychologists call something attachment. You know, which is, you know, part of listening, because you know that is our fundamental human right. I'll bring it up that what we need to be attached to people, and people gravitate towards somebody that listens to them.
right.
So it's very, very important that we do that. But at the end, like you're saying, we need to be very, very careful what we expose our kids to.
Yes.
You know, in the area of what kind of conversation they are privy, they can participate in. In as much as we want them to be outspoken, we don't want to shush them, because it does some damage in their self-esteem, how they see themselves, how they can contribute.
Yeah.
We've got to be protective of them too. We have to let them. We have to help them to protect their what do they call it? We have to help them protect their sense of self from some discussions that are only adults. I know of some kids that know too much about what is going on between their daddy and their mom.
True.
They know, it's a lot. It's
Or
Yeah, you know,
other people.
Actually, children tend to know so much if you're not, if you don't like feel tight. If you don't feel tight for
I
that.
think another thing as adults, maybe the mistake we kind of make is, oh, they don't understand what we're talking about. They are kids, but they have the mind of their own. God has created them with the mind of their own. They know things, they hear things, they are not deaf. When we are having conversations, they can choose to just stay and be playing, and we think they are
They're
really
not really,
engrossed
yeah.
in that. Everything that was said, they heard it.
So it's very, very
and they are not,
So true.
the kids are not like, unlike adults, the way we'll say something and try and twist it. They say it the way they heard it.
Yeah.
They say the way it is, and that's why I think it will come from when you just say, oh my God, so you know this and stuff like that. So I think that mindfulness of not just seeing them as kids, like, I'm sure they don't know what's going on right now. This person is still a kid. Let's try and not really beckon on that like so much. I know these children have the mind of their own, so whatever is going on, they are aware of it.
And that's very, very important that you bring that up, because in the process where people talk about other people,
Right.
Especially Christians do that. They talk about their pastors. They talk about
Yeah. Yeah.
do you see what that person was hearing to church today? All those kind of
And they will come to pastor the following Sunday and be like,
we need to be very, very. But let's go back to this issue of when a child grew up with criticism. They tend to criticize other people. Hurting children becomes hurting adults that hurt other people.
Right.
That's just the progression. So let's okay, now the deed is done.
Right.
They make it spirit.
Right.
So what can we do?
Well, I feel, because I think the ideal way of doing it is, when your children want to talk to you, allow them talk, listen. Don't be fast to judgment. Don't shush them at the early stage. Let them express themselves, right? So anything that you feel you need to correct will be done after they are done talking. Like, okay, things that you need to enlighten them about that. Okay, I understand you. I got what you were saying, but I feel, okay, this is it. When you hear elders talking, right? I don't say you have your own opinion, yes, which is very good. I like the fact that you're listening. That is a good one. Like, you could, put things together. But, I would say, when it's myself and you alone, we can discuss it. You don't have to barge into conversations and all that, because people would deem it as rude, which it is actually rude if you do that. Like, elderly people are talking, you have your opinion. We're not saying don't voice it, but you can always talk to me. Talk to your dad, Don't just let them know the corrections, but don't shush them. Let them talk, right? I feel that is important. If you do that, that kind of a child, next time when anything like that happens, he or she would remember, oh, mommy said this, right? So when they grow up, get married, they will be calm. Because they've taught them from the beginning. This is how to act.
I think I would add in from when the deed is done, like, okay, let's say maybe that didn't happen as a kid and you're just a grown adult that you've not been encouraged, you've been criticized a lot. So I think one thing that is important as an adult to move forward is forgiveness. So try and forgive your parents for that if you've seen that is something that has really affected you. So I think once we can actually forgive them, I think that peace comes in. That's and then we can relearn how to actually now associate with maybe our partners or people in generally appropriately. So I think we need to, and also forgiving ourselves too. Let's say we've done things to other people like that, like also criticize people in a negative way. So forgive your parents for that and also forgive yourself, and I think things will
get better.
Yeah,
sure.
And I also had to that in the sense of apart from forgiving our parents or forgiving ourselves, seeking help, good help, maybe counseling, because there could be more deeper things within us that would make us, there are certain things that when we were growing up, we said, oh, I'll never do that. Like I'll never do that to my kids, but somehow automatically it started happening. Why? Because it's kind of embedded in us, in our mind, that those things just come without us knowing or realizing that we are doing it. And even by asking our kids for to forgive us for the times we've messed up is very important too. Because when we were growing up, I don't think our parents ever apologized for what they
What
did.
are you talking about?
Like, they don't. But we have grown up to realize that those things have affected us so much that we're passing it unconsciously to our kids.
Yeah, it's later we'll be like, oh,
You know,
I
just did exactly what I said I wouldn't do.
Right.
You know, asking our kids to forgive us and sometimes ask them to even help us in the process of
Right.
trying to correct ourselves. Like when we do something, we can also tell them that whenever I do this and this, could you please, when I'm in a better mood, tell me so I could correct myself. And that way you're teaching the kid to understand that you're not just the Lord of all.
Right,
To say
right,
everything, you're always right. And then while doing all those things, we can seek outside help, counseling, you know, like, how do I go about this? I was hurt when I was young and I don't want to continue the scenario. Like, how do I go about it? And also asking the ultimate person, which is God, to, you know, help us lift that
super
burden.
important.
Leave that burden out of our mind, because he is the one who has given us the privilege to be parents, and he wants us to parent them well.
Right.
And without, like I will always say to my children, you didn't bring manual when you were coming, so there's no way I'm going to act right. Since you didn't bring a manual,
Right.
expect me to make my mistakes.
Right.
But then I will go back to God and say, God, I need your help in this area. I am failing. I can't do it by myself. And God is always there to answer,
Of course.
to do what he knows that we need in helping those children become who he has created them to be.
Yeah, another thing we can do is to be aware. You know,
Awareness,
very,
yeah.
you know, that to be aware when we're doing those things. You know, what can help you is to actually let your children make money from your mess. And say, every time I shut you up, remind me, and I will drop
Right.
$1.
into the box.
So
I'm cashing out.
Yeah, then you can cash out.
No,
You know.
I'm telling you, at that
Yeah.
point you.
It's laughing.
Yeah.
By the time you spend like $20 a day, you'll be like, whoa.
You reevaluate yourself.
Because then it helps keep you
I need to
accountable and
Yeah.
disciplined. Another thing we can do is basically, you know, when your children want to talk to you, they are the most important person at that time. You got to drop everything. You know, most of the time we are so engrossed with especially in this age and now with what we're doing, with phones, you know, that we are, you know, searching our phone, checking things on social media. But even with that too, because we've got to teach our children the need for patience.
Sure.
If they want to talk to you and that's not a good time,
Right.
you've got to teach them and say, okay, at this moment is not a good time. Because sometimes we need to put that, it's like somebody